I have a problem with Happiest Season. If you aren't familiar with the film, it's a Christmas rom-com directed by Clea Duvall, star of Girl Interrupted and the notably sapphic But I'm a Cheerleader. It's about a woman, Harper, who struggles to come out to her family when she and her girlfriend Abby visit them for the holidays. Admittedly, it's a very cute film with some funny moments strewn throughout, but the issues I have with it come from the ending, and, in particular, Harper as a character. I'm going to get into spoilers, so if you haven't seen it and you'd like to, I'd recommend you watch it first. It's on Hulu, at least for American viewers. Elsewhere, you'll have to figure that out on your own. I think the best way for me to talk about the film is going through it chronologically and discussing my opinions about it as they come up, so let's do that. Happiest Season starts off with a very sweet and gay opening credits sequence, showing the audience Abby and Harper's relationship through the time they've been together, with Christmas-themed vignettes. We're then introduced to them as characters. Abby is a timid, shy, and extremely awkward girl, while Harper is openly sweet and is able to push her partner outside of her comfort zone. After a cute moment with them sitting on a rooftop looking over the town they live in, we're introduced to the film's conflict. Harper wants to bring Abby with her to her family's annual Christmas gathering while keeping their relationship a secret. As a cover story, the two plan to tell them that Abby is Harper's orphaned roommate who has no one else to spend the holidays with. That part is unfortunately true, as Abby lost her parents when she was 19 and is still struggling with it. The roommate bit is particularly interesting to me. Historically speaking, biographers and other recorders of history like to tone down explicitly queer relationships between people and excuse it as they were just friendly roommates, despite loads of love letters between the couples proving otherwise. Sometimes it's due to outright bigotry, while other times it's because of other people trying to erase history. In one case, the poet Emily Dickinson had written letters to her sister-in-law stating, "Susie, be my own again, and kiss me as you used to. I hope for you so much and feel so eager for you. Feel that I cannot wait. Feel that now I must have you." But because of Susie's husband's mistress, several references to her queerness were erased, scratched out of history, and up until recently, scholars believed Emily Dickinson couldn't be queer in any form. The story is much more laid out in the fantastic article And They Were Roommates, The Erasure of Queer Love by Jessica DeMarco Jacobson, and I suggest you read it for more information on the relationship between Dickinson and her sister-in-law. Another article, Heteronormativity in Popular History by Daniel Scrimshaw, puts this phenomenon into a more comedic way. Often these historians' arguments boil down to the old "it was normal for two women to kiss and desire each other's constant company back in those days" type of line. Another great read, I might add. Back in the film, Abby is finally introduced to Harper's parents, and I should mention why Harper has a hard time coming out to them. She's afraid she'll ruin their reputation while her father is running for mayor, which seems particularly shallow. It's definitely hard for any queer person to come out to their family, so they can be either outright rejected, reluctantly tolerated, or lovingly accepted, and unfortunately the first two are more common, or at least have been more common in the past. It's easy for me, as an outsider, to say it's a shallow reason, but I feel like it is. She doesn't even seem to care that much about what her parents will think, just how some big donor will feel about her being gay. We also see in this scene the instant othering of Abby and constantly see her excluded, whether by her choice or not, from the family. It becomes the theme of the film, Abby being portrayed as the outsider of the family, visually and socially. When they first meet and are told about Abby's status as an orphan, Harper's mother and her sister Jane treat her as a puppy abandoned on the street, that is to say, with feigned virtue signaling.
It happened a long time ago.
You're so brave. You don't need to be.
Jane.
Mom,
Okay, that's enough, Jane. Jane, too much.
In one scene, she has to sit on a noticeably shorter seat than the rest of the family at a restaurant. In another, she has to take the family's holiday photo for them, and according to Harper's mother, messes it up anyways. It's not hard to feel her pain, since Harper herself is deliberately othering her from the family, calling her a friend instead of her girlfriend, which I'm sure is unfortunately reminding her of her parents who passed away, seeing as how they're no longer with her, and she feels alone, and now she feels even more alone, with the person she loves the most in her life also pushing her away. It's also at this point that we're introduced to the many pretty women of the film. Alison Brie and Mary Holland as Harper's sisters Sloane and Jane respectively, Mary Steenburgen as her mother, and Aubrey Plaza as her ex Riley. So many pretty women. Anyways, so far, it's a cute little rom-com, but I can see the building blocks of conflict being piled upon one another. Abby's friend John, played by the always wonderful Dan Levy, who acts as the wise gay person, knowledgeable of all things queer, perfectly puts the relationship into perspective.
What do you want?
I want you to break out of that closet.
I am not in the closet. I told you Harper's gonna tell her parents everything right after the holidays.
You deserve to be with someone who shouts their love for you from the rooftop.
He's completely right here, and as the film goes on, it seems like Harper's family would be supportive of her no matter what, so it's getting even more strange that she won't just come out already. It's clearly bothering Abby. Still though, I understand the fear of the unknown. I just wish Harper would talk through it with Abby and allow her feelings to come through instead of suppressing them for the sake of appearing normal, whatever that means in this day and age. It really doesn't help at all when another ex of Harper's comes into the picture because her family wants her to be with him again. She spends more time with him and her old friends and, subsequently, distances herself from Abby further, seemingly trying to go back to her old straight life. Then, her first girlfriend, Riley, also pops in and talks to Abby about her experiences with Harper. When they were dating in high school, their love letters were discovered, and instead of coming out right then and there, Harper burned Riley. Metaphorically, I might add, and put all of the blame on her, calling her weird and treating her like a stalker. So she does have a history of being shitty to her past girlfriends when it comes to coming out. How is Harper gonna handle the big moment when it comes? Will she chicken out again and keep her love for Abby a secret, or will she learn from her mistake and be truthful? Well, at the big Christmas party, Sloane finds out about Abby and Harper through some comedic antics and tells everyone at the party what she discovered.
Harper is a lesbian. Abby's her girlfriend.
What's Harper's reaction? Throw Abby under the bus. The same bus she shoved Riley into.
She is lying. I am not a lesbian. Sloane is the one that has this big...
She's given a second chance to come out, and admittedly, it's never good to be forced out. I would never argue that it's okay for that to happen, but this is still the moment to come out, if there ever was any, and Harper doesn't follow through, forcing Abby's hand to choose to leave her after all the stress she's gone through due to her partner's actions. All because Harper still wanted to be the perfect child and have a normal life, even though she could still have that with Abby as her one and only. Abby then leaves to go back home with John, who gives a beautiful speech about coming out.
Harper not coming out to her parents has nothing to do with you. Everybody's story is different, but the one thing that all of those stories have in common is that moment right before you say those words when your heart is racing and you don't know what's coming next. And then once you say those words, you can't unsay them. A chapter has ended and a new one's begun.
It's a great speech that could have been handled terribly if it were not for Abby's response.
I want to be with someone who is ready.
It acknowledges that although Harper isn't ready, Abby wants to be with someone who is. Both are completely valid perspectives in my opinion, though Harper's is definitely less valid because of the actions she took that pushed Abby away from the family and turned her into an outsider when, from the start, she could have been a part of the family all along. If only Harper learned to work through her insecurities. Then it's here we're treated to Harper's attempt to get back with Abby, and she unfortunately succeeds. In my opinion, it should have come off as pathetic, and Abby should have gone off to live on her own, or even with Riley, both being women burned by Harper's inability to take responsibility. This moment is too little too late. She had her moment to be truthful to everyone, and she ruined it. I don't think she should be able to redeem herself this easily with some sappy speech about love. She didn't show Abby too much love when she emotionally pushed her aside just so she could go back to her old life. The crazy thing too is that I believe this moment could have been earned if Harper truly learned from her first mistake with Riley, and was truthful to her family about Abby when Sloane revealed it all. But she didn't, and now we have a couple where one of the partners treated the other like garbage, but still got the girl in the end. It's awful. And then it kinda tries to put most of the blame for Harper's actions on the parents, for making a competitive household where the sisters had to fight for attention. Of course, it's not right for them to have done that, but Harper is an adult now and should take responsibility for her own actions by not getting Abby back. That's my problem with Happiest season. Harper doesn't deserve Abby, and the film doesn't deserve its happy ending. It could have been a really interesting look at maturing as a person and learning from your mistakes, but instead it became about someone so scared of their sexuality being found out that they would hurt the person they love the most to protect themselves first. Lesbians deserve a better Christmas rom-com. Besides that horrible ending, I think it's a fine film. If you ignore how Harper treats Abby by the end, it could be a really cute Christmas film to rewatch every year, but you can't since it's the focus of the movie. I just wish it were better written.